her cue to talk.
With the right finger.
We should be live now on week 4 of the Agora project, and I'm Ken, but I'm going to try to not talk. I'll let Lorena take over the microphone.
Bien.
You're up, Lore.
¿Tengo oportunidad de hablar?
Sí,
Okay.
todo tuyo.
Perfecto. Muy bien. Mi equipo tiene ahorita algunas multitareas, están encargados del CTA en la universidad, del Centro Universitario de la Ciénega, y tuvimos la oportunidad de platicar acerca de cómo implementar en estructuras una nueva técnica llamada carrusel. Esta técnica llamada carrusel es muy interactiva, apoya bastante al estudiante y sobre todo en el aprendizaje colaborativo. Se estuvo llevando a cabo en el transcurso de esta semana. Lo planeamos la semana pasada, junto con la actividad que se está mencionando y que se llevó también en videoconferencia. Pensamos en varias ideas, cómo realizarlo, cómo planearlo, y parte de esa actividad, la materia se llama Teorías y Principios Financieros. La materia de Teorías y Principios Financieros es teórica 100%, es una materia que se imparte a los alumnos de segundo semestre de Contaduría Pública. Estos alumnos tienen acceso a la plataforma MOOC, en el cual tienen artículos y varias actividades que realizar, pero estaba ideal esta técnica para aplicarse en los alumnos que tenían 100% teórico. Entonces hay que idear y pensar en algunas estrategias para que este alumno pueda retroalimentarse, pueda identificar otro mayor aprendizaje, y se creó lo de...
Slow down. Slow down.
Like Ken.
Slow down.
Yeah.
So,
So
let's see
actually,
if I,
Ken,
Laura,
Ken,
see if
before
I
you
translate this
translate.
well. So,
Okay.
you're using, are you using Moodle, did I hear? What's the platform that they're
Hey.
using?
Hey, Ken.
Lore?
Mande.
Oh, sorry. Let me take off the auto.
Llegó
Put
mi
it on the
compañero
auto.
también,
So,
estamos trabajando. Ok.
Lore, ¿están usando, cuál plataforma están usando? ¿Moodle para comunicar entre ellos?
Sí, no, en comunicación no. Twitter estamos utilizando. Vamos a implementar Twitter. Estamos utilizando para envíos de trabajos una plataforma de MOOC.
MOOC?
MOOC.
Okay. I'm not sure which one that is. So it's
Type
basically
the URL in the chat room of the
do you have
platform.
the chat open, Lore, on the side of this, or you might be using an iPad and it makes it tricky?
Oh.
The general gist is that they're using Twitter to communicate between them of the work they're doing. I mean, there was a lot more in there that I can't translate directly here. Lore, I was trying to do 3 things at once here in a second.
Ken?
Yep.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Let me test my understanding, and then if I understand it, then it'll be really simple.
Awesome.
Okay. So you're using Carousel as a method to help your students really absorb a lot of theoretical material, right? So if I'm understanding, each student or set of students takes a piece of the material, they study it, they think about it, they make sense about it, and then they're creating videos to share their summarization with the other students. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
And so you're using video, you're using a liberating structure, and you're also using what I didn't understand is how you're using Twitter. So, lentamente en español.
Muy bien. Lo vamos a utilizar, lo vamos a incorporar el Twitter, pero ahorita primero es utilizar que compartan los artículos y la información de esta materia. Se realiza por medio de la plataforma.
Okay, so they're not using Twitter so
Lo
much.
interesante en esta actividad fue lo que se hizo, la técnica de carrusel. Esa es la que me agradaría mucho compartir con ustedes, porque esto fue donde el alumno realmente recibió un aprendizaje mayor al esperado que yo lo había planteado. Igual hay evidencia y resultados de los alumnos que se estuvo grabando, se estuvo fotografiando esa actividad que ellos realizaron. Esa es como la parte más importante que se obtuvo de esta semana productiva.
So it's really, you've increased engagement by using this. So it's not just material, it's like, oh, this is a new way to make sense and share the material and compartir, right?
Sí.
Okay. So, are you building a catalog of all the videos? Can you imagine using them in another class, or could the students use them someplace else?
Yes, sí. Sí, lo vamos a tratar de mostrar. Mi compañero también, que estamos en el equipo, me va a acompañar.
Excelente.
Hi.
Bienvenidos.
Luis.
Hola.
Luis.
Hola.
Luis.
Con los videos que estuvimos recopilando, lo que planteamos es hacer una especie como de collage.
Collage.
Con los videos, mostrando la actividad que se realizó, y ese collage, además de ser una evidencia, podemos reutilizar ese material para ejemplificarlo con otros grupos.
Ah, cool. So taking the collages from those groups and then bringing it across to different groups, maybe in different courses even.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And because entonces los videos están públicos en YouTube, are you getting any public reaction to them?
Aún no tenemos los videos en público. Yo me estoy encargando de editarlos. Nada más tengo un poquito de problemas con mi equipo, pero estoy tratando de hacer pues, algo más visual, no solamente el video plano, sino tener, por ejemplo, varias perspectivas de los muchachos, combinar 2 o 3 videos en una misma pantalla.
¿Y dónde lo estás publicando el collage para que los alumnos puedan verlo?
Lo publicamos primeramente.
Pero todavía no lo hemos publicado, maestro. Lo estoy editando aún, todavía está en edición.
Ok, ¿y el plan dónde lo vas a publicar para los otros para ver? A lo mejor no público para al menos los otros alumnos, ¿no?
Cuando lo tenga listo, lo voy a publicar en Dilo, les voy a pasar el link. No sé si ponerlo en YouTube, que es muy buena idea. Yo esperaba tenerlo en el Drive o en un lugar menos público.
Okay.
Pero lo podemos poner en YouTube, nos dan su opinión. ¿Qué les parece?
Right, so they're thinking about doing it public. He's still editing the videos and dealing with technical issues, getting the videos edited with
Luis
his
is
device,
editing
I think. And Luis is editing them, and then he's going to share them with us through Dilo, and he's thinking about putting it more public in YouTube, but he's kind of on the fence about how public to make that.
Alan wants to say something about video.
All right.
Yeah, a number of things. First of all, if they are on YouTube, one of the best ways to organize them is to make a playlist. I don't know if people know about that. But you can organize list of your videos or other people's videos into one shared playlist. So that's a way to build a collection.
Cool.
I don't know if you want to translate that or you want me to go to the next thing.
Como Alan dijo, no sé si ustedes han usado los playlists. And we've got Kike, he might be able to jump in and do translation soon.
Yeah, Sarah's here too.
Pero pueden entrar a su canal de YouTube y hacer listas de videos de ustedes. También pueden usar listas para hacer una lista de videos que recomiendo a sus alumnos. Yo lo uso mucho para esto.
Sí.
No sé si ya conocen los playlists.
Nunca lo he aplicado, pero suena interesante.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing,
Who's ringing?
Parte del trabajo de mi compañero.
Okay, muy bien.
So Kike is in a classroom with other people too.
Okay, well, we'll let Kiko watch. I'll keep translating then.
okay.
No, I think they're joining us.
Okay, oh my. ¿Qué onda, Kike?
¿Nos escuchan?
Sí.
Sí.
Es que estamos con un grupo de participantes. We are here with a group of participants on Agora in the same university center where took place the diploma.
Excellent. It looks familiar.
Fantastico. I remember that room.
Good.
Okay, so Kike, we were just hearing about Lorena and her Luis's project about having their students use carousel and then creating visual artifacts, and we're starting to think about how they're brought together into a collage, the possibility for resharing them, and we just started the part about public-private, which I think is also really worth touching on before we move on to the next case, because Well, two aspects. One is I hear that Luis is doing the editing, and I'd say, well, can you get your students to do the editing?
Delegate.
But Alan had something to say. Go ahead, Alan.
Maybe it's not clear, probably because I can't read the Spanish descriptions, but I wonder, and I've said a couple comments in my group, when people say their students are doing videos, I wonder how that is being framed as a prompt. Like, are they just asked to make a video? Because I know my students will make a 2-minute video about what they did, and so what is the form that students will do? Will they just talk into a camera? So I've encouraged them to think about sort of a genre for the video. Do they make it like a TV commercial, or like the one Alejandra posted this morning was done in the form of a movie trailer? Something that gives the students sort of a shape to produce a video, other than saying, I want you to do a video, because I worry if you just ask students to do a video, they're going to do something that's like a talking PowerPoint.
Nice.
We would like them to actually use the affordances of video to be more than talking to a camera, to showing, to doing cuts and edits, to be able to bring in mixed modes.
Translate time.
Ok, lo que Alan está diciendo es que muchos están pidiendo que sus estudiantes realicen un video, pero él está interesado en saber qué aspectos son los que debería de contener este video. Pues si solamente es un video de 2 minutos, si es la gente hablando a la cámara, porque entonces corremos el riesgo de que ese video se convierta solamente en un PowerPoint con audio, ¿no? Entonces tendríamos que involucrar muchos aspectos más para que sea algo enriquecedor, ¿no?
Awesome. That was great.
En nuestro caso, los muchachos se grabaron explicando la actividad que realizaron. El detalle aquí sería, como tú mencionas, ahora pensándolo bien, sí podríamos mejorar o pedirles a los muchachos, ya no en esta actividad, porque ya tenemos ya se grabaron, pero en la próxima actividad que realicemos, sería interesante, como tú mencionas, pedirles que hagan una labor extra con ese video, sino que no sea simplemente estar hablando a la cámara, porque en este caso los videos que yo tengo y que estoy editando, los muchachos están explicando, pero están hablando a la cámara de una manera muy sencilla.
Okay, so yeah, it's pretty much talking heads for this first one, and so it'd be great to do and edit that and put it together and as a full presentation, but they're saying they'd definitely like to take that feedback and bring it back to them of how to frame it. And I think maybe we could come up with some good examples of different styles or genres to frame their videos. I know Alan's done a lot of work at this, and I've actually seen lots of good examples from my students when I ask them to do videos, and I'm not good at telling them how to do it. And then I see really good examples, and I go, this is cool, and I highlight that to my students.
It gives them a structure. I would also say, with regards to the public-private, YouTube is not the only option. So I'm pretty sure in Vimeo you can put a password on a video.
Right.
So it's another video sharing service. The problem with sharing a video file like through Drive or Dropbox is that they're just unwieldy to deal with because of the file size, which is why we're urging you.
The nice thing about Vimeo el bueno de Vimeo y YouTube es muy fácil verlo donde sea y es un stream, no es que tienes que bajar el video a tu compu y luego tocarlo. Like everything else you have to download and then watch it, and it's just kind of awkward.
Aquí lo interesante de esta actividad que se realizó es la nueva técnica que se aplica y que posiblemente es una iniciativa de nosotros, de nuestro equipo, que se agregue en estructuras, liberando estructuras para implementarlo en los demás grupos, la técnica carrusel, y en el trabajo que estamos haciendo de producción es en el que se va a crear el video. Y lo importante aquí fue la retroalimentación que tuvimos acerca de los alumnos, de cómo recibieron esa nueva didáctica, recurso didáctico con el que se les agregó a su aprendizaje. Eso fue lo enriquecedor, las opiniones que ellos tuvieron al respecto, y cómo se sintieron ellos al momento de ser grabados y la experiencia al momento de aplicar esa nueva tecnología. De usar video, fotografías, siendo que esa actividad no se lleva de esa manera. Ahora se le agregó y fue realmente muy productiva porque se obtuvo muy buenos resultados. Los alumnos recordaron lo que se trataba la lectura, recopilando con los demás compañeros las opiniones que ellos iban recopilando durante 5 minutos que se trataron de cada uno de los equipos. Eso es lo interesante del compartir con ustedes y claro, estaremos elaborando ese video con los requisitos que solicitan. Creo que eso fue lo más enriquecedor que obtuvimos.
Cool. Excellent. Kike, did you get that? You're much better translating than I am.
From Spanish to English, right?
Sí. ¿Lo agarraste o no?
You go.
Muy bien. Yo creo que el corazón de eso es que ellos sienten más que fue... Sorry, I'm translating from Spanish to Spanish. Wow, that was awesome. So really the important here is...
Let me give you the one-sentence summary.
You do it, yeah.
The primary thing now is the carousel and the students making sense of the material.
Right.
The videos is documenting the students in action, but it's not yet fully part of the pedagogy or the learning objectives.
Right.
It could be.
The big bonus was that, and the big bonus is that the students are getting really engaged. They're actually remembering what they've looked at, and that's where she's saying that the big bonus is as opposed to the old way that they're doing it, the fact that they're making videos, the fact that they're sharing through another media format is getting them hooked into it, and that's awesome because you're getting them wanting to learn. So for me, that's the really big thing here.
So I think this is a great, and it's probably a good transition point to have a message from our sponsor first, and then move on to Viviana and the English students, because I think we have a couple of interesting things queued up with that as well. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I didn't bring my tie, but we're sponsored by Lindt Chocolate. 90% is my favorite. So actually that box is empty. One thing I want to mention, there's a lot of people that are a little bit nervous about where to put their final product. So we're getting this message from a lot of people about where do we put the final stuff? Did I miss the memo or the message? And so relax, it's not there yet. It'll be there eventually. What we really want people to do is just work, document. I was talking to Alan about this earlier. If you've got a bunch of links or all of these notes that you're making, take notes. Don't try to keep them in your head because you're going to forget. At least I always do. I'm going to move the focus. So really, that's going to be up soon. We'll try to get it up to you in the next couple of weeks. We want to create a place where everybody shares their final presentation so that it's all this one big collection of everybody's final presentation for the diplomado. I'm going to read quickly in Spanish. Muchos están pidiendo dónde colgamos nuestro proyecto final del curso y están muy preocupados que a lo mejor perdieron el mensaje y no entiendo qué están diciendo porque Ken traduce muy mal el español y no entiendo nada. Y la verdad es que todavía no está el sistema para subir su tarea entrega final. Entonces no se preocupen, tomen sus notas por favor, porque mucha gente están pensando cosas y si no lo documentas, si no lo escribes en algún lado, se va a olvidar. Documenta en su iPad, documento en Dilo, documento donde ustedes quieran. Yo recomiendo meter algo en Dilo porque pueden compartir con otros y los otros pueden ver lo que están haciendo y compartir entre nosotros, pero realmente no se preocupen, todavía el sistema donde van a entregar el producto final no está en ese momento. This message has been brought to you by Lindt Excellent 90% Chocolate. So the other message I think we wanted to bring in, I think that was it.
Yeah, but
I think Viviana's ready and Nancy's ready to share something about Twitter.
Let me just reinforce that again to explain what's going to happen. You're going to forget what's happening this week, and in a couple weeks this is going to be a blur. So whatever you can do to document, take copious notes, many. I use a text document. You can do it in Google Docs. You will be writing. You'll be writing in something that will look similar to the way you entered things in the Challenge Bank, where you go to a website and you type in a box. But you can copy and paste from Microsoft Word or Google Docs. So I would suggest, if you're working on trying to write things up, start writing in a word processor.
Okay. Yeah, it won't be the challenge bank thing that you've been using before.
What you're gonna do is you're gonna be contributing to something that's gonna look like an online magazine or journal, where everybody is like an article, and so what you write will have text, it will have pictures that you can embed, it'll have video, it will have the artifacts that you're
documentándolo.
It's gonna look beautiful.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice magazine to finish. I think the Cog Dog froze up there.
I'm here.
So let's move across to. Should we move across to Viviana, who wants to share her work?
And while I do that, would one of you post the link to the Hangout in DLO for in the Hangout Week 4 Friday topic that was just posted, please?
I'll do that.
I got it.
Alan's got it. Okay.
No, I got it. Okay. So, Viviana, you want to tell us a little bit about how you're using? Yeah, go for it, lady.
Adelante.
Todos, un gusto estar en línea, adelante. Mira, lo que yo hice del primer reto, me di cuenta cuando ustedes hicieron ask y offer, yo pregunté en clase, ellos dijeron queremos hablar inglés. Pero entonces el reto 1 era
You're breaking up.
que hagan ensayos. Que estoy breaking. Hola.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, and so make sure if the rest of us are muted, that might help.
Right. Intenta otra vez, pero a ver si un poco más despacio, Viviana.
I don't know if you can explain
Un poco más despacio. Ok, la tarea es que los alumnos aprendan a inglés. ¿Se escucha?
No se escucha.
Alan, yeah, we have to do the network adjustment. Alan, do you want to explain it or can explain? Because Viviana understands English, so you can explain it in English.
Yeah, what's happening is there's not enough connectivity, and so in Google Hangout there's a way you can adjust
at the top.
If you bring your mouse over the screen, a toolbar appears at the top. The one in the middle, it looks like a graph, says adjust bandwidth usage.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you reduce it, it reduces the video quality, which will probably improve your audio quality.
¿Lo ves, Viviana? Ahí hasta arriba en la pantalla hay unos botones. Si mueves tu mouse, hay unos botones. Uno se ve como de celular, los barras de celular. Puedes darle clic y como ponerlo a la izquierda a menos como ancho de banda. Uy. I don't want to do that to mine. Listo, yo creo que estamos cortando tu video, a lo mejor nada más escuchamos. Será mejor también, es una opción.
Okay.
You there, Viviana? ¿Ya la perdimos?
She might have.
I think she's adjusting herself.
Okay.
Because I got just down to just photo, but I'm hoping we just have just voice at least.
We lost your camera, Ken. You're black.
Yeah, I know, because I...
Yeah, when you adjust your thing, you get interesting things.
Yeah, I adjusted my camera right off, and I think she did too.
Okay.
¿Estás ahí, Viviana?
Sí. I'm here.
Did you try to adjust your bandwidth? ¿Ajustaste?
En español, Miguel.
Si puedes apagar a lo mejor si apagas solamente tu cámara con un botón ahí arriba, puedes como apagar el video y a lo mejor con eso te escuchamos claro sin video. Porque creo que está tu ancho de banda bajo.
Maestra Viviana, ¿me permiten explicarle? Maestra Viviana, ¿sí?
Ya, adelante. Ok, creo que te vamos a escuchar mejor.
A ver.
Adelante.
No, que ya hable.
Dilo.
Dilo.
Maestra Viviana.
No, creo que se pagó todo. I hate technology.
So, well, she's trying to get back on.
Okay. Nancy, why don't you share Twitter stuff if you wanted to share?
I'm going to screen share, so give me just a second here.
Dilo.
Yo creo que agarró la onda Viviana, apagó su video, pero...
Okay. Can you see my tweet deck?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
I can see you.
Viviana has been having her students tweet to me in English, and so if we look at some of her tweets, you can see them, and she's been having her students tweet. She tweets a lot, so let me get back to. So one of her students from Chiapas. Another student is looking at why they want to speak in English, and I said, well, listen, sometimes I'll see these tweets because they tag me at Nancy White, but sometimes it's just too much for me to keep track of, so why don't we add a hashtag to it so we can see all the tweets that are in this stream. So entonces we have, here are all the tweets in this column that her students have been tweeting to me. And what I notice is the initial tweets don't have a lot of content. They don't have a lot of meaning. But when we can look at them across, we could start moving them towards something substantive. So I'd ask, what do you want to do with your English? How do you want to learn English? And so Erica Guzman, for example, she and I have started actually exchanging real communication, not just tagging each other with a random empty tweet. And by looking at the evolution of the tweets over time, and this doesn't go back as far as the beginning, so it's not there, we can start seeing the progression of how the students are using Twitter. Okay? Viviana, are you back yet? Yeah, you're back.
¿Nos escuchas, Viviana, para entrar otra vez?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Did that make sense, what I just said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have been working for 3 weeks now. Mm-hmm. I can listen to you and I can see you.
Yeah, it's really cutting up.
Yeah, your audio, unfortunately, is cutting out. So they've been working for 3 weeks. These are students in tourism who are understanding that English is an important part of tourism because, all of us English-speaking people love to come to Mexico. So Viviana is trying to bring it from just kind of random tweet into the domain of tourism. Again, Viviana, since we can't hear you, I'm going to share some of the things you shared with me, which is the students weren't too interested in Twitter. It wasn't engaging them. And so I thought this is a good place to think about what would make it engaging, or is it the wrong choice?
They like to use.
Go ahead.
They are better than Twitter.
They like Facebook better, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Facebook, and we are working in Facebook.
Okay.
And in Facebook, they're only talking to each other, versus in Twitter, they're connecting with the outside world. Correct?
¿Es un grupo de Facebook público o privada, Viviana?
En Facebook.
Sí, pero ¿el grupo es privado o puede verlo todo el mundo en Facebook?
Es para abrirlo abierto, si gustan verlo.
Ah, okay. So it is a public Facebook, but of course you have to have Facebook to see it.
Yes.
Facebook public is public, except you have to actually log in. Okay.
So maybe that means you need to invite me or someone else who speaks English, who might be a tourist, into the Facebook group.
That'd
So
be cool.
maybe find 10 tourists to come join your class in Facebook.
That'd be cool.
Give
Did
us
you
a
get
tour.
that, Viviana?
Keeps freezing.
Yeah, we keep freezing her up. Or we freeze for her, one or the other. Nancy's freezing up. Go ahead,
She's
Alan.
fine. She's goofy. The difference is that Facebook makes more sense from the first.
Oh, she's back. Yeah, we keep losing you, Viviana.
Hola.
Hola.
Go ahead, Alan.
Twitter is only going to probably make sense if you're going to leverage the idea of getting people outside of your class somehow connected. So there's a benefit to having people who aren't part. If you're looking for a way to have group discussion, Facebook will probably work better for that if it's inward facing. But if you're trying to create something where there's this potential for interaction with people beyond the class or the group, and to connect it in a way that opens some of those doors, that's where Twitter happens. But it doesn't make sense from the very beginning. So when students first go into Twitter, it makes no sense. There's no meaning to it. They feel like they're yelling out and no one's responding. So that's why Twitter, takes a longer sort of build-up time, or has to be more structured as to how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had some good interaction with my students from Twitter lately, is where they're publishing something and some of my previous students see their messages and they're following the hashtag for some bizarre reason, and they start answering them. And I say, this is why I'm doing it with you on Twitter and not on Facebook. Whereas other times Facebook worked really well for me because it's where they are all the time, and they're going to see our messages, and they're going to interact between them, and if that's what we want, then Facebook's awesome.
We lost her altogether now.
Yeah, we lost. She keeps jumping off and on.
Technology.
Where should we go with this now, Nancy? Sarah's here.
We've got Sarah, and I don't know, Kike, do any of your people also want to talk? We'll make sure we have time for both.
Les preguntan que si quieren compartir algo, hay tiempo para compartir alguna experiencia a través de...
Come on in.
Go and share.
¿Quieren compartir? Una compañera quiere compartir algo.
Okay, so let's do Lorena, and then give your person a moment to think about it, okay?
Okay.
Then they can prep in their brain.
Okay. Lore or Sarah? Are we moving to Lore or Sarah?
Sarah, excuse me, Sarah.
Sarah, you're up. Are you ready?
Or did you want to say anything?
Hola.
Hola a todos. Yo he tratado de usar Twitter, pero no funciona porque solamente algunos pocos de mis alumnos están en Twitter. Lo que hice fue un documento en Google Doc donde ponía yo cómo los encuentro en Facebook, y entonces ahora yo voy a entrar a Facebook con ellos, porque creo que es una aplicación que ya tienen y es más fácil participar para ellos.
Okay, so reinforcing what we're saying, that she was trying to get them to use Twitter, but it just wasn't working because so little of them are there, and now she's getting them moving over to Facebook to engage them where they already are. And that's a good message.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing I want to say about Twitter before we move off of it is if you aggregate tweets, and again, I want to build on what Alan said about having some structure, some intentionality about connecting with the external world, it's very interesting to see how the tweets change over time, and to have students reflect, and they can do this in Facebook too. Look at your first post. Look at your 10th post. Look at your post at the end of the course. What has changed? That's the moment of, like, yeah! Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Luis had something to say there. And then Alan had something to say.
I think Luis was raising his hand there with Lore. Lore and Luis?
Yes. Sí.
Me too.
¿Otro agregado más?
Muy bien.
Carlos.
Hey, Carlos.
Carlos.
Hi.
¿Qué pasó? No te ve, no se ve.
Ahí está.
Sí.
¿Qué
Pues
clase
parte de lo que a la mesa también quiere compartir.
No, ¿qué clase les toca impartir?
Ah, ok.
Lo que pasa es que somos, hay varias,
¿Cómo se llama la clase?
no, la materia es que tenemos varios perfiles. La materia que yo estoy aplicando ahorita es de las ciencias económicas administrativas, contaduría pública. La técnica que se utilizó de carrusel se llevó a cabo con el grupo de segundo semestre.
Ah, ok.
Economics and public policy, I think I got. I'm not sure. I'm trying to quickly translate that.
I'm trying to do it in chat also, lightly.
And Carlos is, what's Carlos' classes?
Se llama Universidad y Siglo XXI e Investigación de Operaciones.
University in the 21st Century and investigation of
Operaciones.
Operations research. Right. Man, my translation's hurting. Keep going. You had something to say, Luis.
Respecto a la clase, yo en este momento no tengo grupo. Lo que hago es apoyar a Martín, porque Martín tiene varios grupos, pero su trabajo, de hecho es mi jefe Martín, su trabajo le exige muchísimo, entonces muchas veces no puede atender a los grupos y ya yo trabajo con ellos. Entre las clases que imparto son bases de datos y data hosting.
Okay, so he's not giving class right now, but he's helping Martin with his class of databases and data hosting. Cool.
It's a community, comunidad.
Right, and we have a few people like that they can't apply things in their own class, but they're working with their triad and working together on a single project together, and that's fine as well, however you want to be pulling this together.
And Alan had something on Twitter aggregation.
Yes, the thing with either Twitter or Facebook is an idea that this stuff comes at us like a flow. So we go there to see what's happening right now. What happened a day ago, a week ago, just goes away. It goes down into the bottom of the database, and so it's a great thing to happen, but you want to be able to harness that somehow. So there are ways in Twitter, and I created a studio this week to introduce some tools that we used on the UdG Agora, so you can do some ways to capture some of this so it just doesn't all go down the drain. So one of the things is this Google spreadsheet called Twitter Tags that allows you to basically create an archive of all the tweets based on a hashtag or a username. So that's one way. There is the thing that we're using called Tagboard, which allows you to collect, if they're using the hashtag in public Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, it allows you to sort of build a thing that looks like Pinterest on a board with it. And then there's two more parts of the story that I'm completely forgetting. But the idea is that you want to be able to think about doing some ways that you can do more than just have the tweets go out. So you can Storify is one of the ones that I like using a lot because you can build kind of a curated collection of not just tweets, but YouTube videos and web pages, and you can annotate it as well.
Yeah, and one thing I don't know if Alan mentioned it right there, but he created another studio about this on the Agora original studio site that we were using during the in-person sessions. So Alan just published that this week, I think, or it was last week, and he did a really good job talking about things we've been talking about using these tools before, and Alan said, "Oh, I'll do that," and he went and did that. So that's an awesome resource if you're looking at that. Nancy was saying that go ahead and use Pinterest for your classes. You can. I don't use Pinterest a lot, but if I understand it well, you can create a shared board where people can put stuff together at the same time. Right, Nancy?
I don't know if you can share. You can invite some people in to tag your board, so it's sort of. I'll show you what we're using for another class that Alan and I are working on, trying to use a Storify as resource sharing, and we're not sure it's the best idea, and we're thinking of going back to blog posts and hashtags. So
you look for that,
Nancy. Experiment, try.
Yeah, look for that, Nancy. And one thing I found with the courses I was giving with faculty last year, I was just watching this video that someone posted about the Agora project, and it's using that same template. I guess it's from Windows Media Creator or something. And one of my colleagues did something really similar last year, and they reflected that they really liked, in the course that I gave, I had them write blog posts and videos each week about a topic, and they actually did a video at the beginning of the course saying what they expected from my course, and then at the end they made a video and a blog post about what they felt after this 8-week course. And they found it was really good for themselves to do a big reflection on their posts over time. And I think this is part of what Alan's saying about documenting this history so that students or us as instructors can go back and kind of see what the heck happened during the entire semester, because we tend to forget. We get into the moment and we lose that perspective of what happened over the length of time.
If you're looking for an idea for a way to ask students at the end, typically it's a thing of, you know, what did you think of this course? And they'll tell you things like they think the teacher wants to hear. I got this idea from a colleague, and so I ask my students to do what I call pay it forward. So I ask them to give advice to future students about how to survive or how to do well in the course. And basically you're asking them the same question, but they talk about it as if they're speaking to a future student, and they'll say, it really worked for me to check the website every week because I didn't do that, and then this happened. And so it's the same thing as asking for a feedback or evaluation, but it's just framing the question slightly different. So it comes from them, and it doesn't become a thing that they want their teacher to hear, like, this course was great.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I don't know. I don't think I got it from you, Alan. We must have got it from a similar resource. I saw someone said they didn't like their regular evaluations, so they'd ask their students to write a letter to the next group. Yeah. And I took that and I turned it into the video as well, and it worked really well. I had students saying, when you're in Ken's class, really don't leave things to the last minute, and just general advice. And it was kind of like Alan says, paying it forward, and they sent a message to the next class. And I've actually used that in my presentation to colleagues about how to get your students engaged.
And you know what's really clever? I let them do whatever form they want. So they can do video, they can do audio, some of them do a poster.
Right.
But it has to be something that's media. But then what you have is you have this whole resource that then you can use the next time you teach the class when students are starting out to say, here's some advice from previous students. It works really well.
Right.
Yes,
yeah. I'll share that with people in DELO as well as in other places. I've got some videos from students of mine that are in Spanish as well as English. I get some to do in English, so I can share that with my colleagues that don't speak Spanish. Where are we going now, Nancy?
Lorena.
I lost track of this bus.
Lorena.
Lorena, and then Kike. We've got Kike or whoever's with Kike.
Lore.
Sí. Hola.
Yo.
¿Quiere participar?
Oh, we have bad echo.
Okay, vamos. Gracias.
Bueno, algo que he estado rondando en la cabeza ahorita, pues con lo que hemos estado charlando, sobre todo comentario tanto para nosotros como retroalimentación, para la compañera Sara, para la compañera Viviana, para todos los maestros, es que algo que tenemos en común es que el Twitter, por ejemplo, para nuestros alumnos, como es algo relativamente nuevo, aún le tienen cierto miedo. Por eso hemos tenido problemas para adaptarlos o para que ellos participen. Entonces aquí el punto es no tanto la herramienta que estemos usando, ya sea Twitter, ya sea YouTube, ya sea Facebook, etcétera, sino aquí lo que ustedes comentan es que lo importante es que les vayamos inculcando el uso de la multimedia, independientemente de la herramienta. Y sobre todo, en parte, depende del profesor hacerlo llamativo, hacer que el curso sea llamativo, interesante, y que cambie el paradigma de trabajo común. Entonces, en este caso, tenemos que seguir luchando para que los muchachos empiecen a usar el Twitter, que entiendan su funcionamiento, entiendan cuál es el impacto que puede tener, y sobre todo para traerlos al Twitter tenemos que usar también otras herramientas multimedia. Entonces, nosotros aún no usamos el Twitter, tenemos el plan de usarlo en la próxima actividad como una retroalimentación a la actividad pasada, a la técnica de carrusel, pero es la idea. Sabemos que de antemano vamos a luchar con que los alumnos no van a querer usarlo, igual que con la compañera Sara, se van a poner regiegos, van a decir, no, es que no sé usarlo, no me interesa, no me gusta. Entonces tenemos que hacerlo atractivo para ellos. Y también yo les comento a ustedes que también ténganos en esa parte, tenemos que tomar en cuenta que aún no todos nuestros alumnos tienen acceso a herramientas móviles. Entonces nosotros estamos apoyándolos, de repente usamos el aula de cómputo, pero no es la misma accesibilidad que tienen ellos. Entonces hay ahí una barrera que siempre tenemos que tener presente, y nosotros tendremos que seguir encontrando herramientas que sean fáciles de usar y llamativas para ellos.
Oh, hold on, I was hitting the wrong button. Excellent. Basically saying that that it's hard to get them engaged into Twitter. That's a definite, and Sarah's putting that up as well. Nancy was putting some points here about, hold that up
I was just trying to translate as he spoke, but I didn't catch everything.
That I'm just not interested in using Twitter. I mean, just don't throw another tool at me because it's another tool. Even if it's a communication tool, it's really not helping us at all. I think it's important for us to be good models of how to use Twitter. I found a lot of faculty trying to push their students to use tools that they don't even use themselves, and it seems kind of against the point. So maybe that's something they're hitting. Something else you wanted to add there, Sarah? I didn't catch your message you put up there.
And then I think Kike's person is patiently waiting, and I'm looking at the clock, and I think we need to move.
Yeah, so we should probably move to Kike, who has an invited guest there. Unmute.
Hola.
Hola.
Aquí estamos y está con nosotros Penélope, la maestra que va a compartir una experiencia.
Okay.
Bueno, que nada, buenas tardes a todos. Es un gusto estar conectados. Alan, eres mi profesor. Aquí estamos, ¿eh? Bueno, lo primero es que realmente nosotros tenemos que romper con las inercias de Facebook, de la falta de accesibilidad a la tecnología por algunos de nuestros alumnos, pero creo que en la medida en la que nosotros motivemos, pues lo lograremos, ¿no? En realidad, en mi experiencia, son pocos los que se resisten al uso de Twitter, y quiero compartir y poner también a consideración de los profesores junto con Quique, si es correcto hacer por grupos un hashtag en el afán de romper la inercia de Facebook, que en Facebook tiene la posibilidad de hacer grupos. Yo lo que he hecho, hago un hashtag por grupo, y ahí nos estamos comunicando, y yo les estoy revisando con la frecuencia de la cotidianeidad de las clases lo que ellos envían. Y sí, hicimos un ejercicio el sábado pasado que se llama Repentina, de la carrera de arquitectura, en donde habitualmente pues se entregaba en físico el material de la propuesta de proyecto. Y bueno, fue muy útil desde mi punto de vista que la entrega fue virtual vía Twitter. ¿Quiere comentar algo, Ken?
Sí, Penelope, déjame interrumpirlo ahí para que pueda. I think what Alan. Oops, I'm going to mute you for a second, Penelope. Thank you, Alan. I think what we were saying there is, how do we get that movement from Facebook where it's obvious that we're communicating as a group, and then kind of mapping that onto Twitter? She's talking about, should I make like a hashtag for each group, and then also try to get kind of like daily interaction going, like you're doing with the daily tries. How do we kind of map that my community but inside Twitter with my classes?
I would hesitate from doing too many hashtags. It gets complicated. For one thing, something that is regular besides going to Twitter and expecting something to happen. I think as well, if you sort of give us and people in the Agora sort of a sense about what you're doing ahead of time, inviting people to be part of your experiment who have wider networks. It's just, you know, people like Nancy have lots of contacts, and if you can just get like one person coming in from the outside and commenting in a conversation with the student,
that gets them so excited.
It happens often when people are working with artists or writers. and students are either blogging or talking about them, and they're like, oh my God, the author contacted us. How did they know?
Right.
Okay, just want to check something here. Do we need to stop and translate, or Penelope, is this making sense?
¿Tiene sentido en inglés o quiero hacer
unmute.
en español?
Unmute.
No, está
Para
bien.
los demás compañeros y para mí entiendo un 70%.
Okay. Yo también cuando okay.
I only understand Alan about 70% as well.
Kike, you want to translate?
Sí, bueno, lo que Alan estaba comentando que usar Twitter, a veces si tenemos demasiados hashtags se puede poner complicado, ¿no? Para llevar el registro de todo esto. Lo importante sería utilizar Twitter para conectar con personas que tienen otra red de contactos muy rica, para entonces enriquecer las interacciones con la opinión de más personas a nivel mundial. Es parte de las características que ofrece Twitter, ¿no? Entonces, pues que sí, existe esto, que sí es muy valioso también utilizar Twitter, es bueno que utilicen los hashtags, pero llega un momento en que si son demasiados hashtags se puede poner complicado. Entonces, tendríamos que ver si es la mejor herramienta Twitter para utilizarla, ¿no?
Right, I think the big point is avoiding fragmentation there. I'm going to hit the mute button. Thank you, Alan. Avoid fragmentation from using too many hashtags. I actually have two courses that are very similar, one in one language of programming, one in the other language.
Slow down, Ken.
Sorry, and I would use different hashtags for each course, and I decided to kind of like do the DS106, because with the 3 numbers, I cut it down, so I'm using the same hashtag for both of my courses. And it's actually, I think, working well because these students over here are seeing what these students over there are doing, and it's not so noisy with a single hashtag, but I think I'm getting more engagement of those two groups together and bringing them together. And I'm also getting ex-students. And I think that's one thing that's cool about, say, a DS106 is people have been hanging out in DS106 for ages, and they might be taking a course now, and there's all these old veterans that come in and comment on what they're working on, and I'm trying to create that community with my class.
I would add for Penelope, too, a lot of very small things that they can do, and it's my bias, but I think photographs, things that people can share visually and easy. I think, is she teaching architecture? Is that correct?
¿Qué clase estás dando, Penelope? Tienes que ser on mute.
Composición arquitectónica en 5º semestre y bueno, y mi otro reto también será en una clase más técnica que es control técnico de obra, pero sí es en la carrera de arquitectura.
Yeah, it's architecture.
I mean, and to me, that just cries out for things that people can take their cameras and go out in the world, to find an example of, supporting, I don't know anything about architecture, supporting beams or use of windows or juxtaposition, but I think pictures work very well in Twitter. Give them missions to do. And the other thing that I like to urge people to do is to have activities where they have to sort of explain what they're doing to a non-expert. Like, you're learning about this concept in your architecture class. Go home and explain it to your mother or your child. Turning the students into teachers when you're trying to get them to learn a concept works really well.
Okay.
Okay, you want to translate, Kike? For Penelope, if you need it, just say if you do or don't.
Sí, lo que Alan recomienda es que les dé misiones, ¿no? Que puedo echar mano de tomar fotografías y compartir fotografías. Y que también un recurso que puede utilizar es pedirle a los alumnos que expliquen a alguien que no sepa del tema eso que aprendieron, ¿no? Entonces, que vayan a su casa y que eso que aprendieron se lo expliquen, por ejemplo, a su mamá o a alguien que no esté involucrado mucho en el tema, y entonces explicando lo que aprendieron es como pueden aprender mejor también ellos.
That was awesome. And I think that applies to anything, what Alan was saying. Explain your concepts to someone who doesn't know them. Thanks for the mute there. That I find really well for my students in computing. They go and explain it to your friends that are in architecture or some other discipline.
Yeah, I had, maybe I should share, one time when my mom visited, she asked me out of the blue to explain Twitter, and so I did a live audio broadcast of me explaining Twitter to my mom, and she had no clue about what Twitter was, but she said something that was like, oh, it's like talking to people in public, and they talk back. It was just beautiful.
That is good.
I think Kike's translating instantaneously for you now.
Yeah, without the microphone. That's fine, actually. The good thing about the recorded in English is a lot of people, when they watch this later, they can slow it down and rewind it, and we don't need to translate all the time.
And Juan Carlos joined us, and Viviana is back, and we're getting to the end of our hour, so maybe we could give everybody one last word.
Or question.
Viviana, a ver si podemos escucharte otra vez. No creo. Sarah, do you want to say bye-bye and a last message? You put up a post there about lots of great ideas. Thank you. This is a good session. We're getting lots of good ideas from different people, as well as pulling it from you and retranslating it. Lorena?
Pues agradecer por la oportunidad de poder participar con todos ustedes y siempre estar aprendiendo algo nuevo. La idea que tenemos este equipo es que siempre recolectamos ideas y eso nos ayuda a implementarlas y volver a reordenar los planes con cosas nuevas. Se agradece esta interacción con ustedes.
Thank you for the interaction with us and getting us talking to our colleagues as well. No, that's really important. That's really what we want. Carlos, you're muted. Do you want to say something?
Bueno, yo quiero agradecerles a todos. I want to say thank you for everybody. Por la oportunidad que nos brindan, Nancy, me encanta de verdad verlos y bueno, a todos, Quique, todos, estoy de verdad, sigo confusiasmado y cada que los veo me siento más y más comprometido trabajando con mis muchachos. Ahorita ya estamos haciendo cosas increíbles, tengo unas fotografías fantásticas de trabajos que han hecho mis muchachos. Ya trabajamos, yo estoy aprovechando todos los beneficios de tenerlos a ellos conectados mucho tiempo. Trabajo mucho en Facebook con ellos, es una herramienta que manejan muy bien y creo que como quererlos sacar de ese lugar es como paso a paso. Lo vamos a ir logrando y vamos a empezar a meter cosas más importantes. Ahora estamos trabajando con GeoGebra, por ejemplo, estamos trabajando ya haciendo infografías de una manera diferente y nos está gustando mucho y me siento cada vez mejor, cada vez más seguro. Los muchachos se entusiasman más y lo hacen de manera muy adecuada. En un ratito más voy a empezar a compartir cosas que tenemos aquí, con videos, con fotografías, infografías que hacen los muchachos y más cosas. Y gracias a ustedes, muchísimas gracias.
No, excelente. I'm going to jump across. Juan Carlos, can you hear us and you want to jump in or no? He jumped in, he could say hi and bye, but I think he turned around there.
He turned his back.
All right.
Went to work.
Kike, your team?
Your team, Kika, and then we'll close it up here.
And Viviana, wait a minute, wait. Viviana, maybe you can type your last words in the chat, because we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Adelante, Kike.
Just to say that, thank you. Just to say that people here in the Architecture and Design Center is working in their implementations. We keep excited about implementing mobile technology in our teaching practice. So we keep working. Let me tell you that these people is getting together every Friday to watch the hangout in this room and chatting and sharing ideas. So they are working, and I'm really happy to see that.
Awesome.
Can I just say, I think many people feel like there's so much going on and they're trying things and they're not sure if it's going to work. I mean, everything you're doing is exactly what I believe this project wanted to happen, is to experiment and try and to share your work. And so everybody is really moving in the direction that this project wanted to go. And so, and there are things like, you know, Kike saying they get together every week, and so there is this invisible networking that happens that not everybody sees, but it's so valuable, and it's going to go beyond this project. That's our hope.
I'll let Nancy wrap up because she's really excited, and then we'll wrap up for today.
Entonces, muchas gracias. Viviana, discúlpenos, o tecnología no aprovecha, mas na semana, nesta semana, nos queremos saber que ustedes quieren hablar conjuntos. Entonces, what do you want to talk about next week? So think about that, compartir en dilo, and we'll do it again. Muchas gracias.
So I'll wrap it up here. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. One thing that we mentioned here that I don't know if we mentioned it before in the previous chat is don't be afraid to fail. A lot of you are sharing your successes, but also if something goes wrong, share that as well, and don't be afraid to try something new and it falls flat. A lot of you said Twitter didn't work, so we went back to Facebook, and that's cool too. So thank you for all of your time this week, and we'll be in touch very soon. Relax about the final delivery. We're going to get information to you about that really soon. And thanks, everyone, for an awesome chat session today. Excellent job.
Gracias.
I'm going to turn off the live feed here. I got to remember to hit the stop broadcast. See you, everyone.